You are live inside the Beltway. Yesterday I finished the show and I told you that a new congressional continuing resolution had passed on Tuesday night. So yesterday was Wednesday and I hadn't seen it yet. I said, we'll see. And then I talked to Jason Smith, the chairman of Ways and Means. We went on to the bigger issue, which is not the CR, but the budget resolution and the reconciliation process and what's going to be in it and when it's going to get done. Should there be one? Should there be two? And we just moved forward because the CR was done. By the time I got back, I did 9 miles yesterday. I'm in the ReliefFactor.com studio, and I will tell you about Relief Factor in just a moment because 9 miles is pretty long, but nice day yesterday. By the time I got back, that takes me close to 3 hours. By the time I got back, it was over. The CR had collapsed. And I said, what in the world? So I went and I checked. Called my friends at Conservatives for Lower Health Care Costs. I said, what's up? And they write back. Schumer and the Democrats are trying to push through a monstrous 600-plus page, $50 billion end-of-year spending bill that would undermine President Trump's agenda just weeks before he takes power. The stuffed stocking spending bill includes disastrous policies like the one that would mean a dramatic expansion of government invention in the private healthcare market, including handing Big Pharma a massive profit windfall at the expense of the American people. The sneak attack must be stopped. Tell your listeners they are the key. Every year, Big Pharma hikes prices on hundreds, even thousands of prescription drugs by more than the rate of inflation. Drug companies set the price, they hike the price, and they ensure that Americans stay locked into paying their high prices by blocking competition, spending billions on obnoxious ads, pushing on these ads on the rest of the world. Don't be fooled, Hugh. Tell your listeners, go to pharmawindfall.com, pharmawindfall.com, and lower healthcare costs. That's one of many. Now, they sponsor the show, so I got to talk to them, but I like to talk to them. I want to know what they think. Then I waited to see what the Fed had to say because the Fed was meeting yesterday. And I'm out again. I'm gone for 3 hours. And the markets have opened up pretty well, and I don't get any alerts. And Palantir is doing great. It's the only stock I own. I've moved to all the cash except for Palantir. And awaiting, I think the market's going to adjust, but I think Palantir is going to keep going up. But I don't know anything. I don't make recommendations. But I am waiting to see what the Fed does. Well, the Fed's crashed the market. Feds come out and say, we're not really going to keep cutting rates because inflation is still here. And it is still here. Joe Biden is not killed. I don't want them to cut rates until inflation is dead. Inflation's not going to go down until productivity goes up. And inflation means higher interest rates. And so I'm going to do the market update early, brought to you by Nick Rovich and his team at AmericanFederal.com, because I want you to know how bad it was yesterday. Not for gold. If you are a gold person and you call 1-800-221-7694, Nick and his team will take care of you. As much gold as you buy, they'll lower. The more you buy, the lower the commission. And it's very straightforward. It's very honest. And this morning, gold dropped down to $2,634 an ounce. Hadn't been that low in a long time. $2,634 an ounce. If you want to buy a lot of gold, you've been waiting for year end, you've been waiting for a bonus check, whatever, 1-800-221-7694. The Dow went down 2.58%. It's a big drop. The S&P went down 2.95%. Bigger drop. The NASDAQ went down 3.5%. Biggest drop. Gold dropped a little bit. The 10-year Treasury, the cost to borrow money, went up 4.523% because the Fed is clearly saying inflation is a problem. It's still a problem. Don't be spending this kind of money. Now, I think the Fed is neutral on tax cuts, but they are not neutral on big giveaways. They do not want to see more debt spending, unless it is connected to true, genuine productivity increases, not giveaways. You know what they also did yesterday? They put a congressional pay raise into the CR. It's insane. When you have a problem and we haven't raised Congress's pay in 10 years or 15 years or something. I think there's a good argument for giving them a pay raise. But when you do it in secret in the dead of night, you're asking to have the bill sink. It's like, maybe it's because I've been doing this forever, since 1990. I have seen this done again and again on a state and a local level and on a federal level. If you're going to pay yourself more, and there's a case for that, inflation hits members of Congress too, and they often have to keep up to residents. They sleep in their offices when they're in town and they go home to their district on the weekend. If you're going to have to do it, hang a lantern on your problem. Old-time cliche from politics. I read it first in Chris Matthews' Hardball many, many years ago, but a lot of people quote it to me as having a source. But when you have a problem, hang a lantern on it. Tell everyone right out front. First thing, Mike Johnson or Hakeem Jeffries ought to have said 3 weeks ago, we're going to do a CR and we're putting a pay raise in it. So just get used to it. We're putting a pay raise in it. And, well, whatever they did, it collapsed. And with that collapse and with the Fed's remarks, markets tumbled. Gold didn't, $2,634 an ounce. You want to call Nick and his team? 1-800-221-7694. But markets went down. You want to know how far markets can go? We're going to find out right now, unless Democrats come to their sense. I understand. They're going into the wilderness. And I have a new Fox News column today. How long will the Democrats' exile last? Now, the last time they had a president as bad as Joe Biden, it was Jimmy Carter. And his exile, and the Democrats' exile, lasted 12 years. They hired Charles Manat, and he became the chairman of the DNC. Good guy. Tried to hire me once to go to work for his law firm. I turned him down, but I like Charles a lot. For a Democrat, nice guy. Good lawyer. Then they hired Paul Kirk, another good lawyer, for another 4 years. Then they hired Ron Brown, who was an entrepreneur and a fixer. I think he was also a lawyer. And he got Bill Clinton elected. It took 12 years after Jimmy Carter for the Democrats to get back. And it wasn't just Bill Clinton. It was Ross Perot threw in, and George H.W. Bush broke his pledge on no new taxes and looked at his watch in a debate. And so after 12 years, the Democrats got another shot with a minority president, a plurality president, a third-party candidate. Ross Perot hated George H.W. Bush. And we were off to the races on spending a peace dividend we wish we hadn't spent, because now we have the Chi-Coms to deal with. So ever since then, I've thought, don't ever let inflation get away, or it will destroy whichever party. It really destroyed the Democrats. It's done it again. People hate inflation. They hate it because it's a tax on everyone, and everyone goes to the grocery store and they come back with one box of gingerbread men and not two, because you can't afford 2 boxes of gingerbread men, or whatever it is. I'm not making light of families that can't even afford milk and cheese. Here's the deal. Congress, pass a clean CR, skinny it down, make it work until the end of January or February, and then go to work on the big budget and reconciliation package and do one. Just do one. And put everything into it, because this is too precarious. You've got to go down to Mar-a-Lago with a couple of members of the House and a couple of members of the Senate, and they got to deal with Susie Wiles and Mike Waltz and President Trump and J.D. Vance and maybe Elon Musk, all in a room, 10 of you, and you just decide on the big beams in the budget bill that will unlock reconciliation. A CR with nothing in it, just nothing. We're going to keep the government open, and if the government closes, it's not the end of the world, people. Really, in the end of the world, we've done this many times. If they can't get there, fine. But it's clear, it is very, very clear. Democrats overreached. And they overreached in such a way as to astonish Republicans. And Speaker Johnson just got one set of, he just wants to get to January. That's all he wants to do. I'm not mad at Speaker Johnson. Not mad at Steve Scalise. I'm not mad at anybody. I'm not mad at the Freedom Caucus for criticizing it or the liberals for criticizing it. The farmers did well. The submarine people did well. And then Democrats got a windfall. And Big Pharma did well. I can't believe that. Go to pharmawindfall.com. The last thing we need to do is what Big Pharma wants done. in a CR. I was kind of astonished, but it's over now. It's done. They built the house. It fell apart. Now it's in rubble. Now they pass a quick, clean CR, go home for Christmas, and come back and pass one budget with one reconciliation that goes big, and then you can go home for 2 years and win re-election. It really is that simple.